Hello, everyone. I hope you had a nice weekend. Well, mine was actually very cool. I did clean up, I cleaned up the whole house, I rested, prayed, had a nice time with God, had a nice time with myself. So I can say that my weekend was splendid. If yours wasn't okay, I'm sorry, my darling. Next weekend will be better for you, okay? And this week is going to be a very great week for you, okay? Just say amen wherever you are. So I've come with another gist. This was an experience I had in a church. I met an assistant pastor. Well, he was like an assistant pastor. He was calling himself a pastor then. And I just joined the church like barely few weeks after I joined the church. I joined the ushering unit in the church then. That was when this guy approached me. I think it was after few weeks after I joined, few weeks after joining the ushering unit. He approached me one day after service and he was like, "Oh, you're pretty. I've been admiring you. You've been, born again chiking is different. They don't come out straight and tell you, oh, come to my house, go out. They just, in a subtle way, there's a way they do their own chiking. So this pastor, I'm not going to call the name of the church. I don't want problems. But this happened in Port Harcourt, Nigeria. One of the churches in Port Harcourt, Nigeria. Yeah. So he approached me that day. He told me that he liked me. He came out straight because as a born again, there's a way they do born again dating and and checking. You just come out straight and say what you want from the person. So that was what this guy did. He came out straight up. He told me, "Oh, I would like to get married to you. I like you." You know, I was like, "Oh, and me, I was new to this kind of setting. I'm used to the normal be friends with me. We hang out, we get to know each other, we know if you like each other, and then from there it kicks off." That's the normal thing I was used to then. But this was new to me. No, that wasn't an issue. I was like, "Oh, okay." So I told him, "Okay, but I'll prefer we get to know each other first. You get to know if you even like me before you talk of marriage, you know." So he asked me about myself, the things I love doing. And then after service, what he used to do then was after midweek service, after Sunday service, he would ask me to meet him at a fast food. There was a restaurant, a fast food very close to the church. We'll meet there and we'll eat. But I noticed that whenever we go there to eat, he would tell me, oh, that he prefers to drink only water. And I was like, okay. And then the first day he told me he didn't have money on him. And I asked him, okay, but I didn't plan to come out here to eat. I have food at home. You were the one that asked me to come to the restaurant and meet you. And you're saying you don't have any money. I said, okay, no problem. That's why it's always good as a woman. Have in Nigeria we call it vex money. That emergency money is good to always have it on hand in case of situations like this. So you not embarrass yourself. And by then we had already had ordered food. He had ordered food for me before he said, "Oh, I don't have money." I was like, "Oh, but you called me out. What's up, guy? How far?" He said, "Oh, that he doesn't have." I said, "Okay." And then he took water. Every other time he asked me to come to the fast food to meet him, he would just take only water. And I was like, "Oh, is this guy broke? If he's broke, why is he trying to talking of marriage?" And he was so serious that he was saying, "Oh, he wanted to marry me like immediately." I said, "How? How will you marry me immediately? You don't even know me." It doesn't work like that. And then when he asked me about myself, about my family, I told him I was working then in Port Harcourt. I had a good job then. So he asked about my family. I have just a sibling. And then I told him, okay, my sister, I don't know. I mistakenly mentioned, oh, my sister is a doctor, lives in the UK, this. And since then, the guy intensified everything. He was like, oh, can I come and see your dad tomorrow? Can I come? I said, oh, really? And then when I prayed, okay, before I'll get to this part, I started praying about it. I said, God, I've not had this kind of setting of relationship, marriage stuff. I don't understand. I don't know how this kind of thing works. I said, God, please, if there is motive behind his whatever he's asking me, if he wants to marry me and all that, if there's any motive, ulterior motive, please expose him. That was my prayer then. So this guy, I didn't know when he started saying things. He said, oh, that this marriage that you want, since he wants to get married to me, that this our marriage will be nice. That when we do our traditional marriage, that he doesn't really have money. But my sister now, since he's a doctor, since my sister is a doctor, that she will spray a lot of money. Because normal Nigerian traditional wedding, normal Nigerian white wedding, they will spray you money. Money will be falling like this. Eh? God, it's always so much fun. So this guy, his plan was that when he gets married, when we do our traditional marriage ceremony or our white wedding, that my sister will spray a lot of money, as in as a doctor living in the UK, you know. His mind, people when they hear that someone is abroad and then you medical doctor, they feel you there are trees everywhere that you pluck dollars, you pluck pounds from there, you just pluck it and you spray it everywhere. That was this guy's mindset. That was what he thought. And I was like, oh, so this is guy's motive. I said, okay, you'll be disappointed. No, 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 you'll be disappointed. So I asked him, there was a day I asked him, oh, so you're always talking about my sister, this and that, and you're saying you don't have money. Are you trying to say that when my sister finished praying the money on our traditional wedding day, you're also trying to say that when we get married, she'll be the one feeding us? Or you depend on my salary because you didn't have anything doing. This guy was jobless. I even thought he has a job at first. But later he told me he was doing things of God. I said, how can things of God, working in the church, how does he make, that's not a full-time job. That doesn't pay you money. And last time I checked, in that church, they don't pay pastors, they don't pay assistant. He wasn't even a pastor then. He was aspiring to be, or he was working towards it. You know, how can you don't have any source of income? So you keep depending on people forever, and then you put me into the picture to depend on people. I said, hell no, not me. So how this whole thing ended was that the main pastor of the church, I told him about the guy, and he was like, this guy has no source of income, that they've been talking to him, telling him to make out something good out of his life, and he's always reluctant to work. That right now he's looking for a rich girl to marry. And I said, oh, no wonder. I said, okay. And then the crazy thing that now happened was after one Sunday service, people were about leaving. Do you know what this guy did? I'll tell you what he did. But before you continue, before I'll finish up the story, please go ahead, subscribe, like this post. Please. You need to drop your subscription because you can't be missing out on these hot gists. No, you can't. I don't even want it for you. You need to be here all the time to see all my posts. So back to my story. After church service, in front of everybody, I finished my option job. I wanted to, get back to my seat, pick up my Bible. This guy got down on his knees, brought out a ring, and proposed in front of everybody. Oh my God, I wanted the ground to swallow me. I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. I was like, yo, what is going on here? He said, will you make me this? I told him to get up. I don't want to embarrass him, madam. I told him, please stand up, stand up. I took him to the pastor's office. And I told the pastor, see what this guy did in front of people. This guy is going to block my future suitors for me with this proposal. I told him, no, 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 please, you don't do that. You don't do that in front of people. So that was how pastor spoke to both of us. So asked me, do you want to marry him? I said, no, no, I'm not going to marry him. You don't have a source of income. You're not doing anything for it. How do you want to marry a woman? So if I get pregnant immediately, what will happen? That was how this whole thing ended. And because of this thing, I actually left the church because the embarrassment. How can you propose to me in front of everybody? Well, that wasn't the only reason why I left. I moved to another city. That's another reason. I moved to another city then. But please be mindful of these people that call themselves man of God and they'll tell you, God said, I'm going to marry you. Some are real, oh, but please make your own findings. Know the reason why the person is coming for you. Even if he's not a pastor, generally be very careful of men that come and say they want to marry you. They may have ulterior motives. Even for women that express their love for you, they may have ulterior motives. So please be careful out there. Okay? See you next time as I bring more gist to you. Ciao, ciao.